artificial intelligence on how to reveal me a glimpse of the glitch of the simulation. Wouldn't that be a real trip? Oh, let's take it together to find out how we can manipulate the script for just long enough for it to cause a chain reaction, no type of effect on the code to cause a reboot to awaken them from the safe mode.
Welcome to the UnFuckIt Discussion. We're doing things a little differently today. I'm on Nick's phone using his mobile data because we have no fucking internet again. Yay. I want to start off with a couple of things right off the hop. So the first thing I want to talk about is, first of all, technology is failing. I have had since, because I keep putting it out on my Facebook and asking friends saying, are you having problems with your technology, like internet, etc.? And I've had so many reports of people. Some people are saying, no, my internet's absolutely fine. And then you can have someone who's like the next city over from them saying, my internet is so bad, don't know what to do about it. And I've looked at things like, who are the internet providers? Like, for example, in England, are you using this company, this company, this company? Doesn't seem to make a difference. Random internet outages continuously. Not just that, technology again. So computers doing weird shit, phones, laptops. I had a friend of mine who was joking saying her smart fridge is gone completely crazy, like completely fucking crazy. So technology itself, and it's not, again, technology that is reliant on the internet, even apps that you use within your computer. So I was having problems with OpenOffice this week. That was just crazy. Like, it just kept freezing and shutting down, and I lost documents and labels that I was doing. What was it? Windows Media Player. Literally on three different devices in the house, all fucked up, and none of them could run Windows Media Player. It just kept spinning and spinning. How many? Yeah, okay. Zero just said a friend's laptop is totally bricked. Yeah. This is the kind of shit that I'm hearing from a lot of people. Ridiculous. Now, Nick went to pay a parking ticket online, went through the whole process twice. It would not go. Last Monday, I went to send an international bank transfer to pay for my C60 fullerenes coming in. I get an email from my guy saying, you sent the transfer twice. Like, do you want me to send double the order? And I was like, no, what? So my buddy, whose bank account it is that I was using, calls up at the bank here in England, and the Bank of England says, oh, yeah, we're really sorry about that. There was a problem with the app on that day, and every single international bank transfer was sent twice in England. Every international bank transfer got double sent. That anyone using this app and this is a major bank, one of the biggest boys here in England. Get the money back, and apparently, and they're already saying, oh well, we will compensate you for this problem it's had. Like, it was a big problem for me because it fucking emptied the account out, and you're like, oh well, thanks, I have other shit I have to do with this money. Other people, PayPal's continuously a problem, right? Like, PayPal is so much of a problem that it's now gotten to be almost a joke of how big a problem PayPal continuously is. But I'm hearing American banks, Canadian banks, insurance companies, people trying to do things online. On PayPal, I did a whole pile of acceptances of different payments that had come in because I have to manually accept fucking payments at the moment. And I went back the next day, and all the ones that I accepted were not there. I had to redo it all over again just now. So you're just like, what the fuck is this craziness? So there's a whole thing about technology across the board. People, now put it out here to everyone in YouTube land. Starters on cars. 3 different people I know this week have blown starters on cars. The one is a friend of ours who the starter on his car went 2 weeks ago. He's got a loaner car, and now the starter on the loaner car has gone. These kinds of really, really bizarre fucking technology shit going all crazy. We've had like a computer problem in our car, and it seems to have sorted itself out. Nick gave the car a stern talking to, and it seems to have sorted itself out now. So our starter seems to be working now again. I don't know. We're talking, like I said, crazy technology issues. On top of that, so I want to talk about the physical shit, right? Now, last week, for the little tiny bit that I was able to actually get on the discussion last week, I talked about the hot and the cold. That's gone up exponentially now. That's gone up exponentially. Today, my youngest daughter came to me. She's just sitting here in the kitchen talking to me, and she was like, oh, you know, it feels really, really weird. And we'd gone outside, and she'd been talking to me outside on the back, and she's just in a t-shirt, and it's pretty cool here. And she's like, I'm really, really hot, but I'm really not. I'm kind of cold. So then half an hour later, she's chatting to me, and same thing comes up again. She says, Mom, I feel really weird. Like I'm hot, but like my skin feels warm to the touch, but I feel cold. Like my skin feels cold inside, but it's warm to the touch, and I don't understand it. Not a half an hour later, my boy who's 13, he comes in and goes, Mom, I feel so weird. I was like really, really hot, but now I'm like really, really cold. I'm shivering. I'm so cold. The comments on the YouTube from last week, multiple people saying, yes. It's like a fever. This feeling like a fever that you're hot, you're cold, you're hot, you're cold, and hot sweating. Like it's like you blow into a sweat instantly, but then cold, shivering cold, as if you've got a fever. It's like your body is not able to adjust, and it's not an age thing, and it's not a sex thing. Male, female, like my kids, my daughter's 15, my son is 13. Nick has gone through it. I'm going through it. A lot of people are talking about this. No, this is not thyroid. I'm sorry. These type of things don't all of a sudden just go magically start happening, and it'd be a physical thing with ourselves. Like if it was thyroid, it would be a lead up to it, right? You would have other issues. The other one is emotional volatility. Let's call it that. Emotional volatility. Literally, yesterday I had a really busy day. I had one of those days, when you're like, I'm so proud of myself. I got so much accomplished. I was up at like 7 o'clock in the morning. I had got all my veggies chopped up in the dehydrator. My dehydrator was going. I canned a whole load of salsa. I canned a whole load of pumpkin mango butter. I cleaned the kitchen. I had done the dishes. I'd swept the floors. We just like seriously powered through all this shit. Was feeling really good and happy. Like you're in your space. You're just getting your fucking shit done. This is fucking awesome. And it was like all of a sudden snap. The twig in my head snapped, and I was in a rage. I was in a complete, like I was ready to start taking shit and smash it through windows. Went to print some labels. Computer wouldn't talk. And this is the interesting thing, is there was a direct connection in my mind. At the same time that this all started happening, our internet dropped. But our internet dropped in such a way that, for example, the computer wouldn't even talk to the printer, and they're literally 1.5 feet away from each other. Everything technological all just went and just stopped working completely. And I sat there and was like, okay, if we're talking about cosmic rays or those kind of an energetic issue, geomagnetism, whatever, this sudden flip of emotional to all of a sudden this technology at the exact same time just stops working completely.
Can I just add something to that, like a question? Because yesterday, the day before, I think I slept 7 hours, and if I'm doing something on the other side of the veil, I woke up and needed to have a nap because I woke up. So I'm just wondering what sleeping patterns, because if there is energetics and everything else kicking in, that would affect the sleeping pattern. But still, yeah, I woke up and I couldn't get out of bed for an hour. Then 3 hours have passed. I'm like, I have to have a nap because I woke up. Oh.
Was it for me? And I've done the flip. I can't sleep right now. I'm back to this. I'm like staying up till 1 o'clock in the morning reading and going, okay, you really do have to go to bed. You really, really, and then laying there, turn off the tablet and laying there going, yeah, we're going to go to sleep anytime now.
Patterns completely, yeah, the pattern's completely just been thrown out the window.
Yep.
Monty, did it feel like someone was unplugging you while you were awake, like a total drop of energy, like as if someone would pull the power plug from you?
Sort of. It was. I just felt exhausted. I woke up and felt exhausted. So the body said, "Okay, you've done something. So now have a nap." And it was 3 hours late because I let my cat out, and because you have to when the cat says so. But then,
you have no choice because the cat's the boss.
Yes. My mistress told me I had to let her out. I'm like, okay. But I got out of bed at 11:30. I woke up at 7:30, and then like, I'll just lie in bed for an hour, and then.
This is it. That feeling of, even though you've been asleep, I use that in air quotes, you get up feeling like, oh my God, I have to go. I now need to rest. Like you're exhausted. Like your sleep was exhausting. Now you need to actually rest to recuperate from your fucking sleep. Yeah, I know that.
Yes.
Ongoing strangeness, physical shit again with the joint pains and how they just randomly appear and disappear. That's one of the things about it that's really strange, is that there's this, they appear and you're crippled, like almost crippled with wherever the pain is, whether your pain is in your back, your hips, your knees, your shoulders, your whatever it is. And then you can wake up the next day and it can be completely gone. And there's no explanation. There's no trigger for it to come on, and there's no trigger for it to suddenly leave. It's not like you magically waved a wand and went, think, there you go, it's all gone now. This is another one, and I've been getting this from a lot of people. Physical headaches, physical like body aches, pains. My kids even, like I said, even my kids have had bizarre pains, aches in hips. Hips seems to be, it's funny you should say that, Mercedes, because hips seems to be one of those ones that's hitting a lot of people. So it's like, why the hips? What is it about the hips that is doing this? It doesn't make sense. But hips being one of those ones that seems a lot of people are being affected by. Laura just said her husband's also having hip issues right now. And I always look at that, right? For me, my shoulders. I know that part of my problem is connective tissues, that it seems like my ligaments, my tendons are too loose. And this is a conversation that we've had over the years. I've hypothesized the link of hormones to things like the tendons, etc. Dehydration is another one. And we mentioned this a few months ago. I'm waking up so parched, so dehydrated that I feel like I could spit sand. It's been pouring rain here for 2 days. So how can it be pouring rain outside and yet you're so dehydrated? My skin is dehydrated, my mouth, unbelievably dehydrated. Now, one of the things that I discovered, and it was on a roundabout way that I was searching for something else, your tendons and your ligaments store vast amounts of water. When your body becomes dehydrated, in order to protect the vital systems, your core vital systems, your body will begin to pull water out of other areas to protect the core, right? So is that why this sudden hips, backs, knees, hands, shoulders, elbows. If our bodies are so dehydrated that, again, we're pulling water, our bodies are pulling water out of the systems like your tendons and your ligaments and muscles to try and protect your core hydration. Interesting. When
No
we look
wonder
at
why I
the
tore my
secondary shit.
bicep.
You tore your bicep? Yeah.
Yeah.
Nick did. Nick did as well. Nick tore a muscle right in here, just not his bicep, down here. And I was working on his arm for him, and he gets muscle knots because when he works out and he's doing chin-ups and things, and he'll get muscle knots. And I said to him, that's not a muscle knot. That's an actual tear. You've actually torn the muscle. Now, this is a guy who works out continuously and has worked out for 20, 30 years. So it's not like it's a new thing. So you're working out and they pull a muscle, they do something because they overdo shit. And no, this is just out of the blue. He's torn a muscle in his forearm.
And that was just me trying to cover my feet with my bed sheet. I was trying to toss my bed sheet toward my legs, and somehow I tore my bicep doing that. So it's
I hate
like,
when you just do the simplest thing and you go to a doctor and it costs $800. All I was bending for the remote control and then ping.
You know, Danny, this is interesting to me because the way that you just explained all that is how a lot of people, when they walk into the doctor, they'll diagnose them with fibromyalgia, with exactly because the pain moves every day, and that's their little fucking term for it. But I really think the radiation's causing all this.
Well, this is why I'm being really cautious. I do, because yes, radiation we have to look at, and we got a little bit into it last week, and I fell offline. I just ordered. Do I have it sitting out here? Do I? Yes, I just ordered some Lugol's iodine, and I recommend everyone should be getting some Lugol's iodine and actually start taking it. It tastes really bad. You can do Lugol's though as topical application. You just 4 drops on your skin and let it absorb through your skin that way. That's what I'm doing with my kids. It's also a really good test. And it was Jenny who taught me this one. If you put a tiny, the tiniest bit of it, and you just swab it on your skin and watch to see how fast your skin absorbs the color, because of course iodine is like that screaming red-yellow color, right? And I was shocked. I put 4 drops on my arm in here, and I had this big, huge patch, and it was gone in 6 hours. So it's something to look into. I would really. Laura asks, how long does Lugol's last? Jenny, are you here? Jenny, do you happen to know? Like, where's my glasses? I can see. Mine's got a best before date. I mean, everything will have a best before. This is May 2022. I wouldn't know. Everything has a best. This is the problem. Everything has a best before date because for legal liabilities, they must put an expiration date on it, even if there's no such expiration. So I don't know. That would be something to research.
That's 2 years from now, so that's probably about 7 years. The way that we're going.
Well, dehydration, because I'm seeing it in the plants, and we've discussed this in the gardening group, right? In my Unfuckers gardening group. The things that we're seeing in the soil, symptoms of plants, etc., shows extreme dehydration. Our bodies are showing dehydration. Now, is this a cause and effect? As in, because we're talking about radiation too, and I think we absolutely seriously have to be looking at the radiation effects. Seriously have to look at this. Is incoming solar radiation and galactic radiation, let's call it what it is, cosmic galactic radiation, is that causing the extreme dehydration? Or is it two separate things? Changes within our atmosphere are causing the dehydration. Is it within us ourselves? Changes within ourselves that we're becoming dehydrated? Or again, is it something that's external, i.e. the question of hydrogen, right? If hydrogen is being tampered with, if oxygen is being tampered with, and of course we talked about 5G and the oxygen molecules, and we did talk about that like months ago. If 5G can directly affect the oxygen's effect within the hemoglobin, within our blood, and the bonding between the molecules, it would stand to reason, to me, it would stand to reason that it could affect these types of radiation. And I'm not going to just say 5G. These types of radiation could also cause effects on oxygen bonding with other molecules, i.e. H2O, hydrogen 2, oxygen. Is that why we're dehydrated? Because we're seeing that there's some kind of a strange shit that's it's causing that oxygen is not bonding properly with hydrogen. Therefore, we are getting this weird fucking shit that's happening and causing dehydration.
Or it could be the other end of the spectrum. Or it could be the other end of the spectrum where our bodies are adapting to this radiation and maybe we're needing more water. You know, I mean, it could be
our water. But this is the thing, though, and I get you. I hear what you're saying, Zero. I have been playing and experimenting with myself for 2 years now on the whole hydration thing. It does not matter how much water I put into my body. It does not matter. I cannot hydrate myself to the level that I know my body is comfortable at. And at that point, that's when I have to say the problem isn't with us. The problem could very well be with the water we're trying to hydrate ourselves with. So this is where I play these scenarios around in my head continuously, trying to look at, okay, what are we seeing? What other factors can we throw into the table here that could be affecting these things? And there's a continuous one. Yeah, go ahead, love.
I'm also an avid canner. So I'm going to cite the tool to you. You know, the magnet tool that you use to get the lids out of the boiling water?
No.
I have a little tiny kitchen magnet on the end of a plastic stick so that you can retrieve the canning lids out of the bottom of the saucepan without messing with tongs and all of that stuff. I've been canning like a mad woman, like all of us have been for the last few weeks. My magnet stopped working for an entire day.
Who, what now?
My magnet did not work. It would not pick the lids up. When I could get it to pick them up, it would drop them. They were all over the place. I was dropping lids like you would not believe, having a hell of a time keeping them sterile because the magnet would not hold simple, basic ball canning jars lids, which it is
like it always
made
does.
to do.
That is big.
Okay, so these are the kinds of things that I'm talking about. Right, these are the kinds of things that I'm talking about. Now, this may seem not connected, but it seems to me that it has to be. Yesterday, Dutch Synths put out a recording, and he was talking about heat flashes, heat flares, and he was showing on using the NOAA app, right? And he was pulling the timeline up, and he was showing a section. And it was Arkansas, right near Arkansas, near the Mississippi Delta. And all of a sudden, over the course of an hour, hundreds of heat flares that appeared and then disappeared like that. Now he says, can't be a forest fires, can't be even farmers burning their fields because they don't come and go and disappear in a matter of 10 minutes. Hundreds of them all, and they were like in a line. They were in a line that went straight up.
They're on the New Madrid fault.
On the New Madrid fault line, yes. Okay.
Some pieces for me that immediately ping are, okay, we have this cosmic radiation that is changing, and that cannot change without our bodies changing, period, first of all. And then there's the other piece you mentioned with the magnetics changing with your canning. And that immediately raises a big flag, first of all, because magnetics don't just change. And when there are magnetic anomalies, that is a big deal. The other thing for me is tying that into our bodies, which are electromagnetic things, like intimately tied in with the magnetic field and with that whole element. So, I mean,
I wanted to say something. I talked to Nick about this after watching.
I think one other
Go
element.
Ahead, say that again. I couldn't hear you, Zero. Say that again.
And one other piece of that is, yes, there is all that physicality of our electromagnetic makeup, but also there's our emotions that tie into that. Like, and you mentioned the emotional anomalies yesterday you experienced. I'd be kind of curious to see if anyone else in the group had experienced any emotional anomalies, either yourself or experienced one through somebody else in the past few days, but I certainly have.
Multiple.
I was actually, I was watching the TV show Boys, and the second season, they seem to be using a lot of Billy Joel. And I almost, like, the feeling of crying came up. I'm like, what? Am I remembering the 80s? What's going on? I also have a pain, right, if you're looking this way, behind the pineal gland. It's not a pain, but it's a feeling. And it's like, I have no idea what that is, so I don't know what's inside my head. Like, I wanted to add as well, with everything you said, as well as sleeping, who knows what we're doing, you know, if we're raising our vibration and the body's running at a higher frequency or just running at a higher level, and it's using all the water to stay like a radiator, cool the engine. Like, Danny, you've been practicing for 2 years. When do you feel dehydrated the most? Is it in the morning, or is it all across the whole day?
Across the whole day.
Okay.
I mean, obviously in the morning you always you wake up and you do that.
Yeah. What elephant crap
That's
in my
just
mouth?
nasty. Yeah. What fucking died in my mouth? But it's through the whole day. I know signs. I do skin tests on myself, right? To test my hydration levels on my skin, various areas of your body. The extremities are always the worst. When you talk about skin testing, as you get closer to your core, it's less prominent. But these are still like that. Again, that falls into that whole thing of, if you are working from a place of dehydration, then it's going to show in those kind of areas where it's like the outer extremities are going to show dehydration first. Now, things like hair, right? How many people I've talked to who've got problems with their hair? Their hair's changed texture. Fuck off, fly. Mosquito, he's dead. Ha ha, I win. Hair thinning, hair falling out. Like, that's a really big one. I talked about that last week. A lot of people are experiencing extreme hair loss.
They're linking that to COVID, which is interesting, where all this stuff. Yeah, as I said, I think last week, I think you actually heard it too, where there was an ad of, like, yeah, here are the symptoms, and 90% of them is like, well, I smoke and I have all them.
Exactly.
But yeah, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm saying, do you think they're piggybacking? So if we look at the big picture here, and we know that shit's changing. I personally have had horrible, ask Maurice, I've been bitching about this for like 2 weeks. I think I'm tired. I go to sleep, and then within 15 minutes I'm awake. And I'm literally doing this day and night. And I also think that, I don't know about y'all, but I hear pitches, but I've heard them all my life. They're really fucking bad at night now. Like, it is
loud.
And I asked
deafeningly
Shane,
loud.
Yeah, I was
deafeningly.
I asked Shane Bales about this. I'm like, Shane, the night is, I'm about to put a camera up in my room. It's getting ridiculous. And he's like, they're doing a whole lot at night right now. So
I don't know. It is so loud at night. I turned off the light. Nick had already gone to sleep. I turned off my reading light, lay down, tried to stare at the ceiling for a while. And my first cognizant thought after like laying down and trying to relax was, holy shit. Like, holy shit. It is so loud. Loud. Yep.
And then
Yep.
y'all getting, so you have the deafening, like the, but then like I'm picking up pitches in my ears. I mean, like big loud ones that come in and come down, and it's happening on both sides. I notice that it happens to me at night when I'm watching the computer before I'm going to bed. I'll have these and it's always in this ear. So this would be the left ear.
Same with me. I had one of those last night before I went to bed. Left ear. Exactly. And I hear it in the left ear, the high pitch.
And then it comes in, and then you hear it, and then it kind of fades out, but it holds for a second. And
Like I worked in nightclubs for 20 years, like earplugs, pussy. But you know, when you get tinnitus, you sort of you train not to hear the frequency, because it's like if you hear it all the time, you can switch it off. I'm hearing the ringing, hearing the ringing now, and it sounds like a different ringing compared to my natural tinnitus or tinnitus, or however you say it. And I get ringing in both ears occasionally, where you zone in onto a certain frequency and it disappears again. And like some people say there's downloads, -1, blah, blah, blah. But if everyone's getting it, it's like, we're changing, obviously.
But last week I was sitting here and from my right ear, I was hearing orchestrated music. Like it was just on that one side. And no one
Do you have a filling? Do you have a filling in your mouth? Are you picking up radio frequencies?
No, I'm not Gilligan. No. Well, I lost that feeling, but I didn't have one of those metal feelings, because they outlawed that, to have that. But no, like I was hearing orchestrated music, like choir and that kind of stuff. Like, holy crap! Like.
Well, here's the thing. So, and I've talked about this years ago, because I have perfect pitch. So in my house, it's an ongoing joke. If the kids want to really piss me off, they'll put on one of those videos. It's like the try not to laugh videos. And there's a couple of them where there's like some people are singing and they're singing so badly because they know it'll make me literally like twitch out. It'll be like, turn it off. I can't, just turn it off. So when I hear tones, I can usually identify, I hear them, not just the tones, but I can hear where, for lack of a better explanation, where those tones are. Like I'll have a tone that I hear and I always hear it here. And that's the only way I can explain it. Then I have another tone that I hear here. And there's another tone that I hear here. And there's one that I hear that's kind of here, a little behind me and at the midway point on the left side. And I can identify, and I'm over the years of analyzing where these tones sit, they've all shifted. They've all changed positions now, and the tones are different, and they are in different positions. Where I'm talking years of them being in the same position. Now all of a sudden they're very different. They're in different places. How I hear them, stereo, I guess, how and where I hear them from is very, very different.
That's really interesting, Danny. You might want to look in. That really sounds like to me like it's auditory spatial synesthesia. You should. That's a good keyword for you to Google.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what does that mean?
So synesthesia is a general term for when different senses are sort of mixed together. So a very common type of synesthesia is like auditory visual synesthesia. So when people listen to music, they see colors, right? That's or like when another common type of synesthesia is grapheme color synesthesia. So like when people see letters, those letters and numbers have colors.
Okay.
So auditory spatial synesthesia would be when you hear tones, they with that
they
sense
have direction. They have a space.
They have spatial direction and placement. I've
never heard of that before.
Yeah.
Do me a favor. I'll never remember that word. type it into me on Messenger.
Yeah,
and I'll
I will
go search for it because
this will be a
that's
rabbit hole
really
you-
interesting. I have to look that up.
This will be a rabbit hole you'll love because I have, and if you say, well, how can you have something like that without recognizing it? I didn't recognize I had synesthesia till like I was like 25, and the reason is because you don't really
You assume it's normal.
You assume it's normal. Like, so my type of synesthesia is auditory tactile synesthesia, which means like when I listen to music, I get senses of like texture, weight, viscosity, movement in this sort of 3D space that's like with layers and stuff.
Nick is more like that. Nick is quite like that as well. So that's interesting. Well, this is the thing. So for me, as I just said, I have always assumed that comes with having perfect pitch because I don't know anyone else who's got perfect pitch. So I've never had that conversation with someone who's got perfect pitch as to how they hear tones. So thank you. That's very interesting. See, I'm all fucked up and I didn't even know.
You're leaving the matrix. I also want to add in something as well. I'm not starting to, but occasionally I'm seeing movement in the corner of my eye.
Always.
And just like a shadow moving or something like that, and it disappears. You focus on it, it disappears.
Hey,
that has been very much so in the last few weeks. Gotten a much more active. There was a quiet spell for me. I don't see the shadow people very clearly. Like the shadows have to be really fucking big for me to actually pick up on them. Nick and Quinlan see the shadows all the time, like to the point it's part of their living life is that the shadows are there and they see them all the time. There was a downtick during the summer where I didn't notice them as much, and in the last 2 weeks, it's been continuous. Like you say, I see them, I feel them. I feel things walk by me all the time. I cannot tell you. I was cooking in the kitchen at least 3 times yesterday. When I stand at the stove over here, my back is to anyone coming in the room. And I turned around at least 3 different times going, because I was sure someone had just walked in the room behind me and there was no one there. So that is another thing. That's a good one to bring up because that's another uptick for me that I've noticed personally in the last couple of weeks. All of a sudden there's a lot, like the veils are very thin. The veils between are extremely thin right now.
So let me throw this out there. Y'all gonna really think I'm certifiable, but I don't give a shit.
Go for it.
So
everyone knows I'm certifiable.
It's us, Dawn.
So yeah, it's just me. So like I get the hip thing. When I got hit by that 18-wheeler 7 years ago, I got one of those beds with the adjustable platform, and I've had to bring up my feet because of my hips. Okay. So this has just happened in the last week. But this is what's crazy. So like my faucet in my bathroom, my bathtub kind of has a run to it. I need to have it fixed. I've been saying this for a while. I'm laying there and I hear people talking. And I fucking hear them, dude. These are men talking. And I'm laying there going. And I get up and I trace it all the way to that fucking water.
Water is an amplifier.
I'm listening to a conversation coming through the water.
Water is a natural amplifier. And weird shit happens around water.
Yes. And I have been listening and hearing this off and on now for months.
Can you actually hear what they're saying?
Sometimes. Pick up little words. Yeah. But
get a pen.
It's like it's a room where these men are talking and yeah, it's like vibrating coming through the water. Like maybe in where my house sits in a different timeline, something else is going on and I'm picking that up. That's all I can figure because you can tell they're men speaking. And I haven't said anything to anybody because I don't want anybody to, obviously think I'm
listen,
last I saw of Dawn.
The voices, etc., the stuff that we see, the stuff that we hear all the time. And like I said, it's really ramped up in the last couple of weeks. Has anyone else had weird shit happening? Like things suddenly falling for no apparent reason? In the last 2 days, Nick and I were in the bathroom. Something fell out of the medicine cabinet. Neither one of us were anywhere near it, and it was lying down. and it literally just went joink onto the floor, and we were nowhere near it. It's like, what the fuck? And then we're standing here in the kitchen, and no one was moving. Oh, the house is a little rickety, so you kind of, if someone jumps, you know what I mean? Like you get vibrations, and it might. No, standing here, Nick, and I think it was one of the kids and something fell in the pot cupboard. Just out of the blue. No one was moving. There was nothing going on. This kind of weird shit, like shit just all of a sudden. You had a wild duck fall from the sky, Lou? What? Just fall out of the sky.
Was it tired? Did it fall asleep? Just
fucking crazy. No, this is into your yard. Shit. Okay, so then we talk about magnetics. I'm going to get back onto this thing again. I want to get back, steering the conversation back around to what I was saying about Dutch sense. Magnetics, right? When we see mass die-offs, and I've said this for fucking years now, people, if you remember back in 2015 and 16, everyone was like, oh, it's CERN or it's Fukushima. Oh, it's Fukushima. That's what it's radiation, killing off all the birds and all this. We're seeing migratory, and this is really, really important, migratory animals showing up in weird places. So, for example, 2 winters ago, we had swans show up in Gozo, Malta. There had never been swans in Gozo, Malta. It never happened. And because there are so many hunters, they actually had to assign the swans a police escort that sat there and guarded the swans 24 hours a day for 6 weeks while they were sitting on this pond, which is just a commentary on the Maltese, but I digress. When you have flamingos show up in Siberia, that was 2017. Fucking flock of flamingos showed up in Siberia. Okay? These are all migratory animals. If their internal GPS is all fucked up, i.e. the geomagnetics, i.e. the magnetic piece, that little piece of magnetite that's in their brain that's telling them what direction to fly in or swim in, and all of a sudden it's all fucked up, and you have bizarre things happen. Now, one of the ones is, whoa, who's that? Someone got really loud.
We had flamingos this year in Gozo.
What? No.
We had 2 flamingos. They shot them.
Hold on. Someone needs to mute. Who is unmuted?
That's Jenny.
I have a noisy patient.
Oh, it's your patient. Okay. You're at work. I see you at work. So, seriously, 2 flamingos showed up in Gozo.
Yeah.
That's insane.
They didn't last long.
They were shot.
We should have turned left at Albuquerque. What the hell are we doing here?
Fuck's sakes. This is this type of shit I'm talking about. Flamingos do not go to fucking Gozo, Malta. Ever. Flamingos don't go to Siberia. Ever. So when they start showing up in these places, there's something seriously fucking wrong that's leading them there. Again, magnetics. Again, we know that birds, migratory birds, have got that little tiny piece of magnetite that helps them know where to go. Okay, we talk about whales that are washing up on beaches all of a sudden. We had this, and I've talked about this experience when we were in Morocco in the winter of 2014. We had an octopus swimming up onto the beach. And the kids went and they got the octopus and they rescued it and they took it out into the deep water and let it go. And it turned around and swam directly back up on the beach. They went out and they rescued it 4 or 5 times. And each time that octopus would turn around and go directly back up onto the beach again. That same winter, there was a sunfish, a massive, no, as far as a sunfish goes, it was a baby. It was only about 1.5 meters long. But you know, sunfish are huge, and it was on the beach, and it was alive. And we did everything we could to try and pull it back into the water. You can't. It was you could just feel like there was nothing wrong with it. It wasn't like it was dying or injured. but it beached itself in the exact same spot where the octopus had beached itself not a month before.
Hey, Danny.
Yeah,
Danny, I got a question for you. On that, okay, let's agree that there's something going on magnetically all over the place. You're giving a bunch of examples up through the animals and stuff. My question to you is, from what you know and all your research, do you think it's coming from the Earth itself, or do you think it's coming from outside of the Earth, or do you think, and I'll offer the third alternative, is it a combination, or do you have any insight on that?
On magnetism, when we talk about magnetism, the more powerful magnet controls the less powerful magnet. And it's a very simple exercise you can do. You can take a really high-powered magnet, your North Pole, your South Pole, put it here, take a weaker magnet, turn it like this upside down, and as soon as you let it go, it will orientate itself to the more powerful magnet. Our magnetism comes from, our Earth's magnetism is directly affected by our sun. It is the more powerful magnet. But, and here's the piece that no one talks about, our sun is itty bitty fitty, like itty bitty. We have our own galactic central sun. We also have other suns, other stars that are massively huge. And there's more and more studies that are coming out about this now, talking about the power of these things and the interconnectivity between, for example, Alpha Centauri and our star, our sun, Sol. So when we talk about geomagnetics, it's very easy when you get a lot of people talk about, when they talk about things like pole shifts, pole flips, right? They talk, even science like NASA, they talk in the terms of our magnetic, that liquid core center with the hard iron ball and stuff, which is fucking bullshit. They don't know anything of what's in the middle of our planet. So let's call that shit what we call it. That magnet is doing this and it does these things and this affects that, et cetera, et cetera. The reality of it is, no one is talking about the geomagnetic, the electromagnetic effects of our star to Alpha Centauri, to Sagittarius A, and to these other major things. And now we're seeing, for example, we're seeing climate change. We're seeing climate change is happening all across our solar system. It's not just our planet. It's Mars, it's Venus, it's fucking Saturn, it's Jupiter, it's Uranus. Haha. It's all happening. All these systems are interconnected. They're all interconnected. So we cannot just look at our planet. And this is the problem that we have whenever I do this research, Maurice, is you have to dig through mountains and mountains of fucking shit to try and find, I don't want to say the facts because we really don't know what the facts are, but let's try and find the pieces that make sense. So when we talk about the magnets, the geomagnetism of our planet, we know that we are in a grand solar minimum. Therefore, the magnetosphere of the sun is weaker as well. It's not just, people tend to focus on just Earth. Is a grand solar minimum is the effects on Earth. It's not just Earth, it's also our sun. So when you guys are probably used, because I used to do all the reports on the solar stuff, you've seen me show, here's Earth and here's the fields, right? And you know, when we look at, for example, the magnetopause, and you see the Earth and you see the bow across this side here, there's directly the sun's light coming here, and then it drags behind. But our sun has got the same thing. So when we see massive cosmic rays are coming into our solar system, which we know are happening, like that, there's massive amounts of, and if they're talking about cosmic rays, fucking gods know what is coming in that we can't even measure, and we don't know what there are, besides radiation, X-rays, gamma rays, etc. Magnetic fields. When our Earth has got a geomagnetic field that's real weak, so is our sun. So the protective aspect of our sun is also diminished for the external stuff that's coming in as well from beyond our solar system. And it is virtually impossible to find data that is being correlated by people who comprehend all the aspects. Everything is very fragmented. So you basically play the game of, like, you listen to this person, you listen to this person, this person, this person, this person, this person, and then you have to try and correlate all the data yourself. So no, the short answer is our magnetic field in our planet is directly affected by our sun's magnetic field as well. But it goes above and beyond that, and it goes up in scales, right? Like, you have like our galaxy, and then you have the universe, et cetera, et cetera. And then we also have the fact of, the reality of it is, we don't know what our sun is, right? Like, we're told the sun is this big, giant, burning ball of hydrogen. And I can almost guarantee that's a crock of shit. We have seen too many things on their own screens, like LASCO and all of these different filters, etc. We've seen too many things. This is the crazy, crazy shit that they're now hypothesizing. Someone's just put out a hypothesis that perhaps our sun is a wormhole. Perhaps our sun is a wormhole, and that it could be leading to, attached to some other thing way on the other side of the universe, the galaxy. We don't know. So yeah, I mean, we just don't know. We don't know. But all we can do is, for me, I focus on the measuring, analyzing the data that we have here on this planet, right? We know the animals, their migratory patterns are all fucked up. We know that all the jet streams on the planet are all fucked up. We know that we have geomagnetic anomalies happening everywhere. The South Atlantic anomaly has just split into two separate poles. And that should freak the fuck out of everyone, that we have now two secondary magnetic poles in the middle of the Atlantic, the South Atlantic. Okay, so going back again, what I was saying about Dutch Sins, he showed the Madrid fault line, and there were these hot spots showing up. The one thing I've talked about for ages is, where there's geomagnetic anomalies, you will get electric anomalies as well. Magnetic fields and electrical fields are intrinsically tied together, which is why I keep talking about these plasma blasts and plasma discharges. So what if we've got major geomagnetic shit happening? Not just geomagnetic, it could also be static, right? Because we are talking about the Madrid fault line. So those tectonic pressures generate massive amounts of static electricity, right? And what if we're seeing these blasts coming up of what Dutch Sint saw that is like release valves going?
Well, and you know what the other thing is too, girl? So we've just seen all that going off in different pockets, right? Yep. So that particular pocket was that New Madrid. So now you look at this big ass storm coming in, they're tracking that up right over the New Madrid.
Right. Now, here's the thing. These are interesting, right? I talk about the fact of, it seems to me too often within the truther type movements that everyone wants to jump to the conspiracy theorist conclusion. It's, for example, all the fires in California are caused by dew weapons. None of the other forest fires are, that are raging all over the planet. Just those ones in Northern California are caused by dew weapons. Drives me fucking nuts. We have to understand, though. For example, you've got two storms that have come in, and they've done that exact same thing, Dawn, where they've come in and gone directly up through that area where the Madrid fault line is. But if the Madrid fault line is shooting off all kinds of electricity, if there's plasma discharges, which would then also be like geomagnetic, it could be drawing those storms in. Those storms could be getting drawn into there because of all these other things. It doesn't necessarily have to be HAARP that's standing there. Oh, look, I saw someone post a report. Oh, the New Madrid fault, it's so weak. And now they're using HAARP and they're going to push that storm to hit that spot. No, it doesn't necessarily.
How are you going to explain those lines, the lines coming in that he caught and you can tell they're coming in from a higher up, coming in
Okay,
from
I
the
got.
clouds.
So really, that's all what you're describing, Danny, is sort of a sign, I feel like, of the new conspiracy theorist. Like, you go from feeling like the world is in order and non-corruptible, then you realize that there are some nefarious things that are planned, and then once they realize that, then suddenly everything is nefarious and planned. And so, and people who have been doing this for longer, for maybe even a decade or so, like, know that yes, the world is that way, and things are nefarious and planned, but there are also natural things, and also they're not as smart and as like totally organized underground, we're going to take over the world as people tend to think.
I want to throw a hypothesis out there, and this just hit me yesterday morning, and I was like, oh snap. Okay. And I'm gonna displease a lot of people when I say this. Suck it up, buttercups, just listen to me, okay? And try and have an open mind on this one. I've talked about chemtrails. And that maybe those chemtrails are actually being put up there to protect us because of all this massive amount of X-rays, cosmic rays, gamma rays that are coming in. That maybe that's why the chemtrails are being put up there, is because they know how bad it's going to be, the quintessential they. Further to that, do weapons. Now, I've seen all the photos and I've seen the videos, et cetera, that show these arcs, et cetera. Now, the ones that Dutch is showing are what I call more rational evidence, because it's not a photograph. Anyone can doctor a photograph. I'm sorry, this is the problem I have when people show all these pictures of so-called do weapons. Anyone could doctor a photograph to make it. I could do that easily. Yeah. I could make it look like there's a do weapon hitting fucking Big Ben tomorrow.
Also, Photoshop expert here, and also video, pretty good with video too. Like, I can verify that. And also, like, the only thing I'm impressed with is if there are multiple angles from multiple people posting, and also like those videos you see of one little anomalous thing that's blurry. That is so easy to Photoshop. Like, people don't realize. Hello. You go to the Avengers and see that CGI. Like, come on. Like,
yeah, I actually brought that up on my show earlier today, that we have the technology to have an app on our phone to put a photo of our face onto Taylor Swift for 30 seconds, and it looks perfect.
Exactly.
And those people, look what I'm doing. Yeah, but what about the news is fake? And it's like, oh, don't be stupid. You have the technology on your fucking phone.
You can do this on your phone.
Those lines, though. Let's talk about what
okay, so this is the thing. The stuff that Dutch shows, those lines that are showing up on radar, are far more valid than any photograph that's ever been taken. I want to throw out a what if. I want to hypothesize a what if. We know the San Andreas Fault is building right now. Anyone living in California, I don't know why the hell you're still there, because she's gonna blow. We know this from military experts that have been called, like I said, I've listened to on and off when I have a chance. I listen to places, guys like Marfugel, who get a lot of people who call in, who are calling in from all these different military contractors, etc., who have talked about the fact that there's some kind of an event going to happen on that West Coast. We know that Yellowstone is doing weird fucking shit. Weird ass fucking shit. And has been for a few years. And it comes and it goes like this, right? We know the New Madrid fault line also does the same kind of shit. Christy, question for you.
Yes.
When you're canning shit and you're using a pressure cooker, what does every pressure cooker have?
A little weight that goes on them that is the 10, 15, 20 pound, no, 5, 10, 15, 20 pounds of pressure, and a pressure gauge.
And what happens when the pressure gets too high? What does it trigger?
I've never let it get there. The fear of a bomb on my stove, kind of makes me want to keep it down in the right pressure. But there is the steam release valve. Is that the answer you're looking for?
Exactly.
Yeah, and it makes
Pressure
the weight
valve.
rattle to release a little bit of pressure as we go.
Right.
Interesting. Interesting for you
Yeah.
to add to the magnetic thing. I am not too far from the northern New York area of the New Madrid fault. I'm in Western Mass, and the New Madrid comes up across Rochester and exits out at the tip of Lake Champlain.
One of those deals came down near you. One of them dealings that we're about to talk about. Go ahead, Dan.
Okay. Again, everyone wants to always say the bad guys. The bad guys, HARP, CERN, do weapons, chemtrails. It's always bad. It's bad, it's bad, it's bad. It's against us. They're trying to kill us all off. What if they know the pressure is building along those tectonic plates? This New Madrid, the San Andreas, and several others. What if they know? And they're firing some kind of I'm not going to use the word do weapon because fuck's sakes, but they're firing some kind of an energy weapon to release pressure, to release the pressure on that building pressure valve that is building and building to a dangerous level. I'm just hypothesizing. I don't know. But when I see those things and we see where they hit, and when we see the hot patterns like that showed in his video yesterday, those are hot sparks of energy, heat, something, okay? That's not natural. Like I said, he said it. It's not farmers burning their fields. It's not forest fires. It's not, and he goes through the whole list, right? It's not oil rigs. It's not natural gas. It's not fracking. It's not, okay? Following of pretty much an area. What if they are trying to release the pressure because they know the pressure is building in these areas, and they're trying to create a pressure valve system, pull off some of the pressure, little bit, maybe. And let's say, let's just say California, the fire, and the one picture, there was the one a month or so ago, someone caught another one of those lines on radar again hitting California. Same thing. What if they were trying to release the pressure on that fault line?
That's actually a really good theory that can't be denied, because one thing, conspiracy theorists have to acquiesce is that, number one, if they're doing something nefarious, they're not going to tell us. But on the same token, if they're doing something nefarious to destroy us, they're not going to tell us, first of all. Second of all, if there's something that's going to destroy us and they're doing something about it,
they're not going to tell us.
Exactly.
Exactly. And there was a huge, I want to say it was FEMA. There was a massive big testing scenario that played out. It was in the States it may have been the year before last. It may have been 2018. And it was like a preparedness exercise. And it was a huge amount of people, like thousands and thousands of people involved. It was across several states, and it lasted a couple of weeks. And there was a woman from NASA who was talking about the exercise. And someone, I can't remember exactly the question that was asked to her, but she said, well, in any situation like this, they would not tell the public that it was coming. They would not tell the public it was coming because they want people to keep going on living. They want people to still pay their mortgage, pay their car, pay their student loans, go to work. Importantly, go to work to keep things up and running. And if you tell everyone, we have a serious fucking problem, is anyone going to go to work?
That's always their number one goal. First of all, to mitigate public hysteria. Like they're not going to. I mean, for example, one concrete example is when there was a fucking Ebola outbreak in the middle of New York that went airborne that could have decimated the entire country. Like it was virtually a media ghost town when that was happening in the 90s. Like
they're not going to tell us these things. And I joked about the fact, of course, they want everyone to keep paying their mortgages and keep paying their student loans and keep paying. But besides that, the world, as we know, having gone through these lockdowns, you look at February, March, especially, we talk about essential workers, right? But some of those essential workers are beyond essential workers. For example, what happens? You announce to the world that there's some disaster brewing, and everyone just says, fuck that, I'm not going to work. You garbage men? Who's going to take your garbage away? The guys who run the electricity plants? The guys who do emergency services? The people who are the transport truck drivers who are delivering your produce from fucking Florida all the way up to Michigan? Are they going to go to work when they know that no, it would ostensibly it would completely shut down a country completely. There would be mass anarchy instantaneously, and starvation and everything that would go along with it.
Danny, two things. Isn't this the time where we all realize that people like lawyers, managers, politicians are actually not really essential at all, right?
Totally not essential.
Exactly. But then on the other hand, what you guys said earlier, they're going to tell us what's happening the moment they are in their bunkers and they are safe. That is where they're going to turn on the cameras and tell you how fucked we are. But not before they are not in the bunkers, you know?
No, exactly.
Well, you got the movie Armageddon. What's the other one? Tia Leone dies on the beach, where one asteroid hits the Atlantic and wipes out.
Is that Deep Impact, or is that?
Yeah. And then when the wave comes in and she's standing there.
The 2012 movie is another one, and
that was crap.
I mean, they're all crap. Also, I love Armageddon. But I like Bruce Willis. So
Bashar said something wonderful about 2012. The movie was made, and everyone that saw it on a soul level said, "No, we won't have that. So we probably won't have a pole shift because we've collectively gone no."
Nope. Nope.
Also, you got to look at the whole Ring of Fire. Apparently, New Zealand's starting to pop off as well. Even just small as well. So it's anyone that starts investigating this stuff, obviously see where the hotspots are.
Ring of Fire is insane right now.
Yeah, and then you look at the rest of the Ring of Fire just to see where it's trying to relieve pressure as well.
Exactly. Yep, exactly.
And the Ring of Fire is connected to the New Madrid.
Yes, it is. Everything is connected to the Ring of Fire, really, because it's things that are butted up all the way across. There's cause and effects. If you have something blow over by Siberia, the effects will shift all the way across. That's why people like Dutch Synths will go through and say, okay, we just saw this earthquake over here. In response to that pressure going here, we are definitely going to see one over here that will show us like the rebalance point.
I think about 3 weeks ago, Alaska started to rock and roll, and it kind of makes sense with it now heading the continental United States because the pressure's just been moved down, and it with secret governments and black ops and everything else like that, I wouldn't be surprised that they're actually trying to contain it because they don't want to burn the farm down. They want everyone to sort of still have there's a lot of investment in this project, and we don't want it to fail.
We don't want anyone. Jimmy just said Dutch has taught me more than any scientist. Yeah, exactly. I've been following Dutch's work since 2011, back before when he only had maybe 1,000 subs on his channel, maybe. Yeah, it's like people like that. That's where we learn the most is from people who literally sat there and made it their life's work to be able to look at this information and be able to figure out, ignoring the fucking schooling mainstream bullshit and actual figuring out by cause and effect what is happening, what will happen when certain things happen, because they've analyzed the patterns.
Yeah, my other thing though too, Danny, is, and I'm not voting, I'm not involved in this shit, but I have this feeling too that the dark one, the cabal on here in the US would be willing to fucking blow this place up if they don't get what they want. Trump just blocked the second stimulus package because in the package they had all this money going to all the cities with the Democratic mayors to refund them to get them back going. And he was like, fuck you. And then he comes out and he says, hey, Nancy, how about we just give everybody $1,200 and just pass that? What do you say about that, Nancy? And, but
she's like, no.
Yeah, I mean, he's just like, fuck you. But, like these people are crazy. So like, that's my other side of it. Like, what would they do to keep him from going in?
Here's the thing, right? Because again, we all know I don't like Trump, but I also call it as I see it, right? So the whole thing, and that was, I saw people on my wall on Facebook saying, oh my God, Trump blocked the stimulus bill just before the election. How stupid is he? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, we all know what's hidden in these stimulus bills. When they're like 800 pages long, and they always are, there's a fucking, every single one of these bills that ever gets passed, and it doesn't matter if it's a stimulus bill or the Patriot Act bills, or there's so much shit that's hidden in those bills that God knows what it was hidden in there. So stimulus act, whatever, etc. I'm not gonna, too many people look at the surface shit and don't look at what could be deeper down that could have been hidden inside that. We'll never know. Will we ever get a copy of what the stimulus bill is that been made to the public?
It's like, don't fall for the headline if you haven't read the 800 pages underneath,
Exactly.
Yeah, I've
exactly.
seen
and listen,
where
the shit that's happening right now in Canada.
Yeah,
oh my God,
scary.
it's such a good thing that I'm not in fucking Canada right now, because scary. I'd be fucking arrested. Oh my God, Trudeau's government is just like basically said, no, we're not going to investigate ourselves for all the corruption that's just happened. They literally did. That's what it boils down to. No, we don't need to investigate ourselves for all this corruption that we've caused. No. Why would we do that? But Canadians are so tied into this whole COVID shit that they're not paying any attention. It's insane.
I feel like he's paid off the NDP to go along with them.
Yeah.
That's why I feel. That's just my opinion. Like, Sting is not really doing anything,
But each of the parties is equally evil. Like, this is the whole thing. Like, I'm so sick of everyone plays this game of like, oh, you got to vote conservative. Why the fuck would I want the conservatives in? Stephen Harper, hello. We want to. Brian Mulroney, hello. Do we really want to talk about how fucked the country got under their leadership? Because each of these political parties, they're all the fucking same. They're all being controlled by the same people. They've got Agenda 1 or Agenda 2.
Yeah,
none of those agendas is for us.
It kind of reminds me of the tactics we already know of, that the Rothschilds funded both sides of the war. It's like, it doesn't matter who wins the war. The Rothschilds will profit no matter what. It's like that same tactic is in effect. Like,
exactly.
It doesn't matter what side.
Exactly. I know. Oi. In England here, oh my God. Here in England, like we're just talking, Ireland has just gone into stage 3 lockdown, the entire country. And they threatened that they were going to go stage 5, which was complete and total lockdown. And then everyone went, and then we're like, okay, well, we just went to stage 3, and everyone, oh, well, shoot. And you're telling me that wasn't a fucking ploy? Have the media leak that they're talking about stage 5, so that when they institute stage 3, the entire public goes, oh, well, at least it's not stage 5.
But there's a lot of protesting in Ireland. That's why I would say as well, because if you notice, the governments are losing control over the people.
Oh yeah, exactly. Huge protests are happening here in England as well, and the lockdown is just going to get stronger and stronger. I'm seeing it because they have to keep the people in the fear loop, and B, under control. They have to at this point. Now, why? Why do they need to keep people locked in their houses, etc.? I have questions.
I can sort of answer that from an Australian point of view. They brought down their budget, and apparently they're going to be in deficit $212 billion. Now, for Americans, that's not much. It's like, well, that's a week, but in Australia, it's a lot of money.
Exactly.
But it also, I only read a headline because I can't be fucked reading all these articles because it's all waffle and everything else like that. But the headline said that they predict that a working vaccine will probably be the middle of next year, which basically means lockdown till the middle of next year, because the narrative is the vaccine's going to save us all.
But here's the thing, and this is why I keep asking the question I keep asking is, what do they know is coming that requires them to keep everyone locked inside? That's the big question I keep asking, because I get it, Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, I get it, this whole World United Nations reset thing forum that's now been rescheduled to June of 20.
You know what that logical thinking reminds me of? It reminds me of the same kind of logic.
21, I get it. But keep going back, why do they keep really, really pushing people?
Like that sort of logic reminds me of the same type of logic that's required from when doing medicine. It's like Western medicine would be like, take all these symptoms and then just give you a diagnosis, versus other people who are more, who will just look at the symptoms and say, okay, what do these symptoms mean? What is the underlying cause? Why are these here? Like, what is causing these to arise? And it kind of reminds me of that same type of logic that's required, rather than just being like, oh, well, the experts say these symptoms are this diagnosis, versus, sort of like
the easy answer isn't necessarily the correct answer in this one. The easy answer is it's Agenda 21. That's everyone's jump to. Everyone jumps to, oh, well, they're doing it because they want to kill us all. And, oh, it's Agenda 21.
Yeah.
That's too easy. I'm sorry. And there's aspects of it. There's absolutely aspects of it. And I think that's when we talk about different factions working for control. I think part of that is it. But it doesn't explain, as I've talked about, it doesn't explain why no one was allowed to go to the beach, when no one was allowed to be in the public parks, where they did everything they could to keep people inside their houses, to the point of many areas telling people they weren't even allowed to go into their own garden. If you're telling someone that they can't even go into their own private backyard, that's so radically illogical that there has to be a reason why they're keeping people inside, indoors. Now, if we're talking about cosmic rays,
that makes sense. From the conspiracy world, because I have a show in that, and dear God, please save me. There's sort of two narratives coming out of it, which is New World Order, we're all going to die, and being spiritual is like, yeah, kill me and I'll come back more stronger, like Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're all fucked. That's basically right. If I drop body, I'm coming back and kicking your asses. The other one is that Trump's saving the children from the tunnels, and it's it's interesting how there's a positive and negative theory coming out, where it's, oh no, there's Nassar and Jassar, and there's going to be mass arrests, and they're all setting up, and we're sort of sitting here going, well, it's a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and it could be a galactic event, which somehow, and how do they know? That's the other thing. That's what I find fascinating. Like, do they know it's a 500-year cycle where the sun's going to do a flash and burn a quarter of the planet or something?
Well, okay. So interesting shit as we look at hidden knowledge. There has been, for centuries, history books are written about these hidden organizations, secret societies, and the fact that they hold on to all this hidden knowledge. Well, who runs all the governments? All these guys inside these governments are all part of all these secret societies. We've talked about this for fucking, like, this is old news. Skull and Bones, fucking Masons, fucking Illuminati, like, you name it.
Switzerland.
Right. It's right, whatever. So They could very well know. They could very well know exactly what the cycle is, where it runs, how it runs, etc., etc.
Astrology.
That astrology is an interesting piece of
because
that too, right?
astrology is such an ancient science. We know the cycles, they're predictable. We know the signs to look for. Calendars were kept according to the sky. So if you know the signs and the stars to look for, and then the physical manifestations on the planet that align with those moments in the sky, it's just like knowing that a thunderstorm's going to happen. If you're oblivious to the signs, you get caught outside. But if you know what to look for, you've got a 3-hour lead in, pick up your picnic, get home and get under shelter. It's not rocket science. It's just basic knowledge.
And that's one of the things
we aren't taught anymore as a society.
Well, and that's one of the things that I love is that, like, if you have the eyes to see, those certain signs can be like clockwork. But what thing that isn't like clockwork that I feel like people forget are the humans. Like, for example, like this isn't some mystery novel that's like, oh, it was the Agenda 21. It was, oh, Trump was here to save the children, save the day. Oh, it was Q all along and he saved everything. It's like they forget that this is a fucking world with a ton of people and a ton of different agendas and a ton of different things at play at the same time.
Exactly. There's too many things on the table, and I refuse to remove a lot of the pieces that I keep on the table because they're just as close to factual as the other stuff. Right? Like they could be just as able to happen, or could be the pieces that are going on. So yeah, I keep a lot of these pieces on the table. Like, I hope
it to be a
the
satisfying
Jasara shit is coming through. I fucking hope it is. Sure I do. I've been there, done that. Fucking 2011, 2012. Fucking the mass arrests are still not happening. So
yeah, like I hope it. Like I would love for it to be a one plot murder mystery, but the fact is that there's not just one culprit. Like,
no,
it's a multifaceted thing.
One conclusion on my show, which is called Planet Collingwood, so take the piss out of Planet Hollywood, is that it looks like Team Dark have lost control of the chaos. Because that's sort of that's what I've been feeling all day. It's like, I don't want to play anymore. This sucks. The chaos is just like, because they're not controlling and being confident and like, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. It looks like they're going, oh shit, we're going to do this, and oh fuck, that better work, and nothing's the plans aren't fanning out the way that they hoped.
I've been talking about this since 2015 heavily, that there are these cycles that seem to come through. And you can feel it. And I've got lots of people that I talk to who are very, I'll use the word sensitive to this kind of stuff. And when we all get a feeling at the same time, an idea, a concept comes to all of you at the same time. Like one of the ones was in early 2015, January, and it was around the 12th of January in 2015. There was a whole group of people that I spoke with who all did this. Where the fuck are we? What fucking year is it? And this overwhelming feeling that the quintessential they were in panic mode because they thought they had X amount of time to do whatever it is that they wanted to do. And they just found out that no, they only have this much time left. And they were like that, running, oh shit, and fumbling. So like, and that feeling has renewed itself multiple times, that there is, I'm going to use the word event. I hate using the word event. There is something coming that they know for a fact it's coming. And they're racing against time themselves to try and get on top of it, to try and get their outcome, whatever it is that they want to have happen.
Sorry to interrupt, Danny. I think they're trying to stay in control. Whatever happens, they want to be in control on the other side.
Yep. But they're playing a continuous. They're behind. They're behind, and they're playing the catch-up game, continuously trying to catch up, trying to get ahead of whatever it is. And that's why the shit that's been leading into this year, all last year, if you go back and listen to our discussions from last year, the conversations we're having about this feeling something is coming in, something is coming, and then you feel pause, and you sit there and go, what fucking happened? Why everything's just paused? It's palpable, like everything is just stopped. And then all of a sudden it feels like it's rushing ahead, and you can feel it again. You can feel that imminent something is about to happen, and then pause. And everything pauses again. For me personally, I can feel this. Well, that's it. Yes, Mercedes, COVID came. And wasn't that not the perfect distraction to keep people? Everyone's talking about nothing but COVID. Everyone's talking about COVID this, COVID that, COVID memes. You're either for, you're against, you're this, you're that. But
and
it's
one genius element about the COVID story is that all anomalous symptoms are the COVID excuse all.
Exactly. And that's it. I was going to say that earlier when we were talking about symptoms, et cetera. I was like, this is it. And I don't think it's a nefarious thing on the points of the doctors. I don't think it's the doctors being bad or evil calling. I think it's they're seeing people, and people are just saying everyone's having these symptoms now.
I mean,
so
it's just
have,
a lot.
40 patients who've all had COVID, and they're all coming in for checkups, and they're all talking about ringing in the rears, dizzy spells, and dehydration. The doctors themselves are going to go, oh, this has got to be a symptom of post-COVID. Okay, we'll write that in.
Well, I mean, I can follow their logical train. It's like, well, there are new anomalous symptoms. There's a new thing, which is COVID.
It must be, therefore.
COVID.
Yep, it's cause and effect, right? Well, this is COVID, and these are the symptoms everyone's feeling.
Some of this stuff were years ago ascension symptoms.
Exactly. But now we look at these ascension symptoms and we go, well, those are also the same symptoms for geomagnetic storms. These are also the symptoms for a whole heap of other shit. They're called chemtrail symptoms now. They're called vaccine symptoms now. They're called, which is why you've got to sit there and go, like, the reality of it is, we're feeling symptoms, and to try and tag what it's causing them is pretty much impossible, right? Yeah, exactly. Feminine, wearing a mask is going to make people more dizzy. So therefore, that's going to be added on as a symptom. All of a sudden, oxygen deprivation symptoms are going to end up being carbon dioxide overwhelmingness is going to become part of the symptoms, right? It's going to happen. We know, like, you can call it in advance. You know where that's fucking going. It's not even a question.
And they'll blame global warming and the greenhouse effect because it's all CO2.
Oh, yeah. All I know for myself is, like I said, I am in prepper high gear. And everyone I know who is old school preppers, they're all the same. And a lot of people who are not preppers. So I am part of a canning group on Facebook. And it's a massive group. Well, there's got to be like 75,000 people in the group. Like, it's a fucking huge ass group. And most of these people are just your old fashioned people who, you know, have their fields, they're gardening, and they can whatever comes out of the garden because that's what their moms did, and that's what their grandmas did, and that's what they did. And I follow along with, like, people are like doing things like canning milk. And someone saying, why would you can milk? And the response has been kind of like, well, you know, shit's getting real strange right now. And I want to just make sure I have some milk that will always be available. So I'm canning milk. I'm canning eggs. I'm canning, like, these kinds of levels. And these are not woke people. These are not people who are truthers and patriots and who are follow any of this shit. These are people who are just like going, oh, my gut instinct says, oh, I better put down some extra fucking food this winter. That's for fucking sure.
Well, and to me, those practical people are the type of people that are reading the symptoms of the world, reading the symptoms of the climate, and having the actions arise from those symptoms. And I feel like Western society, from medicine to just cause and effect, we have this love of focusing on the diagnosis. Like we ignore the symptoms straight up and say, okay, well, what's the diagnosis? Like, what does that mean? What's the diagnosis? What does it mean? So then I can know what it means, and then I can, invest in that narrative. But it's like these people that are realizing, okay, it kind of doesn't matter what the diagnosis is, what you want to call it, what you want to call what's happening. This is happening. This is the data. So I'm going to prepare because
according to what you see. Exactly. Yeah. And for me, I kind of use that as one of my, oh, Nick, I need a charger. Your phone is about to die. Shit. I don't think I can. Hold on. Give me yeah, I do. I'm just trying to figure out where to plug it in. Wait.
Let me tell you another thing I find damn interesting.
Hold on. I got to shift my
is China has bought up all these areas in the world, like, that like deserty or, like in the middle of nowhere type shit. Like they knew exactly what was to come. And somebody did a whole piece on that.
Okay, pay attention to the Chinese.
Yeah, they know what's the, So they know where they'll be able to grow. Once
the Chinese dynasties are famous for that shit.
Yeah.
Because they keep really big records, and they don't share their records with anyone. No one. So that's one of the things I've always said is like, we have no idea. They keep very accurate records of everything that's going on. So, and if you talk about, again, astrology, well, I don't know. Guys, I'm going to attempt something here since I kind of sort of have internet. Oh, look, it's 4:44. I want to take everyone on a walkthrough of Unfuckers Unite. So bear with me a second. I'm going to try and do this on my computer, which is still going, kind of. Let me do this. Okay, so Unfuckers Unite has been launched. So I'm going to get rid of the chat on here too. Okay, so if you have an existing 1-year membership, all you have to do is send me a message, because the entire membership had to be wiped out. All the registrations were wiped out because we had to completely build the site from the ground up from the database. It was destroyed. Okay, so if you have an existing 1-year membership, let me know. I have all the data to be able to re-sign you back up again. Okay, so welcome to Unfuckers Unite. You can this is the home page. So you can go in here, you click here to register. Login is over here. I will take you up here to the community. You click on the community site. Okay, so this is the community home where you can access all kinds of stuff. The basic feeds, the groups, etc. To get to your profile, all you do is click on your profile picture right up here on community login. That takes you to your profile where you have your profile, where you can change your images. So change your profile photo, change your cover image, etc., etc. Everyone who's already registered, please go edit your photo and your name in. A lot of people self-registered and they left the blanks. They didn't finish the full-on filling in their profile information. And what happens is when you get messages from people, it comes up with no name. It just says blank has sent you. Look, here you go. So blank commented on one of your updates, because whoever commented on my update hasn't filled in their name or their profile photo yet. So I have no idea who it is. I have to actually click on it to figure out who it is. Okay, so let me go back here. So you've got, this is your notifications, which will tell me all the notifications of who's been doing what. People who, whether they want to send you a friend request, whether they've commented on your comment that you've made, etc. Your private messages here, right? And then we've got things like friends, your groups, what's going on in the groups, various documents. You can set your settings here, okay? We have our groups down here. So we have Unfuckers Unite. The new Unfuckers Unite group is right here. So you can come on in, join the conversation, etc., etc. Hold on. We have several side groups that are going to be going. We have the gardening group from the Facebook gardening group is being moved over. The Facebook Unfuckers business group is being moved over. We also have our natural health group, and we have Astrology 2.0 group, where Amina and Jules and Megan are part of. So we can, with this, scroll back up here a bit. Here we go. So members also have access to the library. This is the library. I have quasi-organ motion and more books. Put them in basic topics. So you click on the topic of whatever you want: recipes, cooking, geography, maps, banking, finance, alien disclosure, astrology, health, history, science. The history file is beyond massive, because of course that's one of my things that I love is history. So you go in there, it will take you to the cloud that will tell you all about, and you can click any of the books that are there, and there's subsections within those sections, and then you can download any of the books that you like. I will get the video library up and running again, but I have to have internet to do that, unfortunately. So on the sidebar here, like I said, we've got, for example, your community, which gets you into your profile. The Zoom link for the shows to attend live is right here. So you'll get the live link is always posted the day of whatever meetings we have going on. You have your feed. There's the list of groups. There's our notifications. So give you a real quick, fast. You can just go in what new notifications you have. Any documents that you've uploaded or anyone else has uploaded. And of course, recently active, who's online, et cetera, et cetera. There is I have put in the Unfuckers Unite a Gaia's Garden Shop. Well, it's not just the Gaia's Garden Shop. Is it going to go? There we go. Oh, my internet connection is unstable on my computer. What a shock. Anyone of members automatically gets a 15% discount if they order anything off the shop. And so it's things like all the Gaia's Garden skincare. I also have our Levity Med stuff, so our poi, things like that are also there. So yes, all members get 15% off of that. I hope you guys can hear me okay. We have subsections that are going to be coming. The Unfuckers Cooking and Unfuckers Business Home, they're still being built at the moment because I'm trying to find the right plugins. Let me refine that. I'm trying to find the right plugins that aren't going to cost us an arm and a leg. So, yes. Unfuckers Unite, and it's for $50 a year to be a member. So hopefully you guys all could hear and all the fun stuff. And like I said, I am continuously building new stuff that's going to be going in here. And I have to put a huge call out to Penny, JC Penny tells me, because without her help on this, holy shit, I couldn't have gotten it done without all the shit that she's done on this.
I just want to say that's really impressive. And I just wanted to say that that's really impressive. And like, I know what goes into building a site like that, especially if you had to do it from the ground up. Again, that's and that's almost even harder because you have to reverse engineer some stuff. And so I just want to say good job. Like that looks really good. And
thank you, darling.
Hey, I have a question.
And it's yes, darling.
When you do, you know how me and PayPal, I'm allergic to fucking PayPal. So can you hear me?
Yeah, we know how that works.
Okay, so
yeah,
make sure that there's a credit card option there. Or can you do that?
She's frozen.
Yeah, otherwise.
There is a credit card option. Am I frozen? Oh, fuck. See, look, we're almost at 5 o'clock. That's why. fuck.
Well, I tried to do it, girl, and it wasn't there.
Okay, well, I can do what I usually do for you, love.
Okay.
So if you've already tried to sign in and register, I can go in and do the same thing where I send you an invoice, and we can do it that way. That's easily done.
Okay. I was going to say that or Maurice. I'll just have Maurice do it. Either way. But
what's the best? I've got a PDF of a book, which I won't say on YouTube because I don't want the author to find out. But how can I send you a book?
You can send me a book through email or through if it's small enough, you can send it over Messenger. One of the best ways, the cloud that I use for all of the library is mega.nz. And you can get a free account on them. So I've told to a lot of people, like if you want to transfer documents, videos, anything like that, I highly recommend go get yourself a free mega.nz account. And then all you do is you just upload it to there, and then you give me the link. Okay. And then I can just download it. And like I said, the free one has got huge data, even in the free account.
I'll message you tomorrow because it's nearly 3 a.m. So,
go to sleep. Go to
I'll try. But yeah, I'll message you tomorrow, and we'll figure it out because it's a very interesting book. Even if none of it is true, it's still a good story.
We like good stories. I like good stories.
Yes. So we'll chat.
I like good stories. Yes. Yeah, you know where to find me. Okay, so guys, I'm going to love you and leave you now because as you can see, my internet's starting to get sketchy. I am thinking of trying. It's only 1 month free now, Mercedes? Really? There's always been a free membership on Mega NZ. Maybe they've just changed it. Shit. Damn. Okay. I'm thinking of changing our UnFuckIt Discussion day to Mondays. Because Mondays we seem to have better internet. I don't know why. Mondays were almost always, of course, I'm saying this out loud now, so that'll change. We almost always have relatively solid internet on Mondays. So I'm going to try and figure it out. We may have to go an hour earlier as well, because as you can see, as soon as we start getting that past 4 o'clock, that's when the internet starts getting really fucking shit. And there's nothing I can do about it. Like literally, I don't know what to do. It's all fucked.
Because that means we'll be back to midnight for me. So yeah, score.
I will let everyone know. I'm going to do some playing around, but I think we're going to have to move the show to Monday because Wednesdays are just always bad days. For some reason, Wednesdays are just always bad, and do it an hour earlier in the hopes of getting better internet. So I can't steal Nick's phone all the time.
Danny, when are you thinking of X-name Facebook for the group?
It will be happening. I will be closing down, or I will be archiving the Facebook Unfuckers Unite group and all the other groups, so like the business group, the gardening group, etc., that I have on Facebook. That will be coming up. I'm trying to give everyone enough time to get signed over onto the new site.
You're going to have to
I will absolutely be doing that very, very soon.
You're going to have to do the same thing you did for me for the other site.
A couple of weeks.
You're going to have to do the same thing you did for me for the other
site. Say it again, Earl. I couldn't hear you.
You're going to have to do the same thing.
Okay. We'll talk about it. Message. Just message me, Earl.
Okay.
Just message me. It's not a problem. Yeah, guys, I don't want to go earlier because I know it's going to fuck up everyone in North America. Make everyone in Australia much happier, though. But internet is what it is. We have the strongest internet is in the earlier part of the day. As soon as we get to 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it starts dying, and there's nothing I can do about it at this point.
Hey,
that is a nice, gory foot.
For all of y'all that can't get up that early, we have a Maurice in the group, and he loves to call and wake you up. So we can just put him in charge for all of us
That's
in
right.
America, and he would love to do it.
He'll do the Unfuckers wake up call and get everyone in North America woke up in time for the show.
It's so funny,
Oh,
Danny, when we're on
You just
trip.
signed up Maury for this duty, and he's not even here right now.
Well, let me tell you, when we go on these trips, it's so funny.
Okay.
We have people with us.
Okay, darlings.
You can't. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Let me just tell y'all. So he always tells everybody when everybody's about to go to bed, he'll go, do you need to get up? What time do you need to get up in the morning? And I mean, these are 50, 60-year-old people. They're like, more, we don't need, I can get you up.
I'll get you up. No, I'll get you up real good. I got to come in and throw water balloons at you. Make sure you're awake.
I would just love to get a call from him. It's like, dude, it's 10 o'clock at night. I'm fine.
Maury's really good at it. And if he's with you, he'll bring coffee to you in bed. That's how great he is.
Ooh, nice. Does he deliver to England?
Yeah.
That'd be nice. I like that.
He'll come wake me up and go, here's your coffee.
Nice. Okay, my loves. I love you guys. We'll talk to you next week for sure. Yeah, interesting days, interesting fucking days. That's for sure. And there's the dogs. They're adding their 2 cents in with it too. They're saying it's all fucked up in their view. Okay, darlings, I love you, and I will talk to you all later. Bye.
The right one, not too sharp, I got anything left. Look for it at the right time, but it doesn't seem to come. Or do I get distracted?